child with no internet, yet a demon. The boy had no internet, no smartphone, no social media, no movies, no music filled with darkness, no modern gateways that parents fear today. And yet, a demon tormented him. This is the part of the story that should stop us in our tracks. Because if a child in the ancient world, with none of the influences we warn our children about, could still be spiritually attacked, then the real issue is deeper than technology. This boy did not open a door through rebellion. He did not experiment with witchcraft. He did not wander into dark entertainment. He did not choose anything. He was simply vulnerable. And the disciples standing over him were shaken by what they saw. They had cast out demons before. They had walked in authority before. But this moment exposed something inside them, not inside the boy. The violent manifestation intimidated them. The crowd pressured them. The father's desperation weighed on them. And unbelief slipped into their hearts. The boy's condition wasn't the mystery. The disciples' failure was. And Jesus is about to reveal that the real battle was not with the demon in the child, but with the unbelief in the disciples. The boy wasn't the problem. The demon wasn't the problem. The disciples' unbelief was the problem. And it forces the viewer to rethink spiritual warfare. If a child with no modern influences can be spiritually attacked, then the enemy's strategy is not limited to technology. Technology is just a modern tool. The real battlefield is always the same: human vulnerability. This kind. The battle inside the disciples. The boy had no internet, no smartphone, no social media, no movies, no dark entertainment, no modern gateways that parents fear today. And yet, a demon tormented him. This is the part of the story that should stop us in our tracks. Because if a child in the ancient world, with none of the influences we warn our children about, could still be spiritually attacked, then the real issue is deeper than technology. This boy did not open a door through rebellion. He did not experiment with witchcraft. He did not wander into dark entertainment. He did not choose anything. He was simply vulnerable. And the disciples standing over him were shaken by what they saw. They had cast out demons before. They had walked in authority before. But this moment exposed something inside them, not inside the boy. The violent manifestation intimidated them. The crowd pressured them. The father's desperation weighed on them. And unbelief slipped into their hearts. The valley was crowded that day. The air was tense. A father pushed through the people, dragging a trembling boy whose body was not his own. He fell to the ground, convulsing, screaming, eyes rolling back as if something behind them was watching. The disciples stepped forward with confidence. They had done this before. They had authority. They had experience. They had success. They spoke the command. They laid hands. They rebuked. They declared. But nothing changed. The boy thrashed harder. The crowd leaned in. The father's hope began to collapse. And the disciples felt something they had not felt in a long time: pressure. Faith was present, but now mixed with fear. Authority was present, but now mixed with hesitation. Confidence was present, but now mixed with contradiction. Unbelief entered quietly, like a shadow slipping across the heart. They tried again. Still nothing. Then Jesus arrived. The atmosphere shifted instantly. Authority walked into the valley. The father ran to him, kneeling, pleading for mercy. He explained the torment. He explained the disciples' failure. Jesus sighed, not in anger, but in sorrow. "O faithless and perverse generation." He was not condemning the father. He was not condemning the boy. He was addressing the spiritual climate, and the disciples standing behind him. Jesus commanded the spirit. No struggle. No delay. No negotiation. The demon left instantly. The boy was healed in a moment. The father wept. The crowd gasped. The disciples stared in stunned silence. Later, away from the noise, the disciples approached Jesus privately. Their question was honest, humble, and wounded. Why could not we cast him out? They were not asking about authority. They knew they had it. They were not asking about calling. They knew they were sent. They were asking about the gap between what they believed and what they experienced. Jesus answered with surgical precision. Because of your unbelief. Not because of the demon. Not because of the boy's condition. Not because of the father's doubt. Not because of the crowd. The blockage was inside them. Jesus then spoke of mustard seed faith. Not tiny faith, but pure faith. Faith unmixed. Faith without contamination. Faith that is not diluted by fear, intimidation, or the violent manifestation of the moment. The disciples had faith, but they also had fear. They had authority, but they also had hesitation. They had confidence, but they also had internal contradiction. That mixture is unbelief. Then Jesus added the line that has been misunderstood for centuries. This kind goes not out but by prayer and fasting. He was not talking about a class of demons. He was talking about a class of unbelief. Prayer aligns the heart with God. Fasting silences the flesh. Together, they purge the mixture. The demon did not require prayer and fasting. The disciples' unbelief did. Jesus was teaching them that spiritual authority is not weakened by demons. It is weakened by internal contradiction. The mountain he spoke of was not a geological formation. It was the immovable thing inside the heart. The thing that resists faith. The thing that rises when circumstances scream louder than promises. If you have faith as a mustard seed, nothing shall be impossible unto you. Pure faith, even small, is unstoppable. The disciples learned that day that the real battle is not with demons. The real battle is with the mixture inside the believer. The valley exposed what the mountaintop had not yet transformed. The glory they saw above must now be formed within. Jesus was not shaming them. He was training them. He was preparing them for a future where they would stand before greater darkness with unshakable confidence. The boy was healed. The father was restored. But the disciples were transformed. The lesson remains for every believer today. The mountain is not the demon. The mountain is the unbelief that rises when the battle intensifies. Prayer and fasting do not move demons. Prayer and fasting move mountains inside the heart. And when the mountain moves, everything else obeys. Thank you for watching this video, where we open Scripture with clarity, courage, and the fire of the early church. If this episode strengthened your faith, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a teaching. Share this with someone who needs breakthrough today. We'll see you in the next episode.